Yeah, that's a nice camera angle right there. That's decent. That's decent. I need to get my glasses on though. Like, can't be out here fucking around with no glasses, bro. A lot of you guys have been asking for updates on a multitude of my reptiles, and I'm gonna start with the one that I've been having the most fun with lately. Let's do it. This is right about a 1-year update for my Crested Gecko. He's nameless. I've had a bunch of people like try and name him, and none of them stick with me. So YouTube, do your thing, give me some names. I'll probably end up picking one before you even come up with one, but I think since it's been a year, it's probably time to go ahead and give this little guy a name. So I think last time you guys saw this was really a year ago when I first picked this one up. I picked up 2 from the same clutch. The second one didn't end up making it, and I'm not sure why. They had the exact same care. They were living in the exact same cage, and the only thing that I could potentially think of the reason why the other one didn't make it is this one outcompeted his clutch mate. Nonetheless, I have one Crested Gecko in this 10-gallon. The window's closed. I mean, like, bitches just like to drive loud. However, nonetheless, the one gecko that I do have now is really flourishing, is doing great. About 4 months ago, I went and turned his 10-gallon cage that he had to an upright vertical design. Nothing special, just turned it straight up, and I just used the screen right here as the door, and it seems to work fine, other than it's kind of a pain to keep humidity in. The cage is bioactive. I've got Porcellio scabers in here, as well as some wild type Armadillidium isopods roaming through this cage. It does have a false bottom, though not very deep, as you can see. If I missed it too much, the water will come straight out of this thing. I've got 3 different kinds of live plants going on in here, and one of those is very accidental. The first 2, I've got a mother-in-law's tongue, 2 of those, which one in the back here and one in the front right here. Both of those plants are, like I said, flourishing. They've grown probably about 2 inches in the 4 months that I've had them in this cage. I've also got some golden pothos right here, just a nice philodendron that's easy to grow, can tolerate high levels of water, low levels of water, can be planted in dirt, out of dirt. It's just a really great plant to have in a bioactive setup, and it's relatively hardy for something so small as this young Crested Gecko is. Some other great features of this cage that I really enjoy is this cork tube that leads all the way down to the drainage layer, so that way my gecko can choose whether or not he wants a high humid hide or a relatively low humid hide. I also really like the fact that I've got this piece of driftwood here that runs multiple different angles in the cage and leads up to the back corner. That allows him to run around the cage and flee to where he feels most comfortable if I spook him. Currently, I'm using this little seashell as his feeding dish, and it seems to be going great. My only qualm with it is that it's got a little hole in the back end, so if I make the mixture too diluted or liquidy, it just runs right out, and that's kind of a pain. A few other things that I really like about this cage is this rock hang that hangs out here over the front. I think that adds a really cool depth of field for the cage and makes it feel a little bit larger and taller than the cage actually is. Multiple different kinds of mosses. You know I'm a sucker for moss. I've got some sphagnum moss and some natural wild type moss that was growing around my house that I cultured for a few weeks before I decided to throw it in his cage. Which leads to the third plant, which is kind of accidental, is a little bit of clover has started to pop up in this cage, and every now and then I have different kinds of plants that are popping up in this cage. They'll die off rather quickly, and then a new one comes up that I haven't seen before, and I think that adds, just some excitement to the cage. You never know what you're going to get from week to week when looking at this setup for my Crested Gecko. I do have 2 fake plants in there, though. I added those just for some pops of color. They're 2 tulips, fake tulips, and I really like them. They hold up well, they're not breaking down, and like I said, pops of color. I also have a fake vine in this cage that kind of helps him traverse different areas and creates little networks other than just the driftwood that's running through there. Now, update on the gecko himself. He's just under a year old, and he's doing great. Just as of recently, he's been putting on a lot of mass and a lot of size, and I don't understand why it didn't happen earlier. He stayed fairly small for the first 4 months, 5, 6, 7, yeah, Like the first 7 months of me owning him, he stayed relatively small, about the size of my pinky. And he has just recently started to bulk up to where he's about the length of my middle finger, but the thickness of my thumb. He has such a personality, and he likes wading down towards the bottom of the cage at nighttime. I think maybe that's where, since that's where all the water collects, the most humidity, he likes hanging out down there more often than at the top of the cage. Right now I am having a little bit of trouble getting him to eat his crested gecko diet. He seems addicted to his worms, and I think that might be the root cause of this increasing mass that he is putting on. Like I said in the first video, my gecko is a Harlequin, bred to a Dalmatian. That was his parents, and he's turned out to be a beautiful gecko. I really like how he has these light cream colors when he's fired down, with like just like a dark slate gray along the sides of him, but when he fires up, everything becomes this rich, like hazelnut, chocolatey brown, and the sides turn pitch black, and he has like yellow stripings down the side of him. It's very, very interesting to watch how he changes his colors based on his mood. I really enjoy that. All this talking's got him waking up. Sorry, little dude. Didn't mean to yell at you while you're sleeping. That being said, the gecko's doing great. The cage is doing great. But there are some changes that I think I could make to make this a little bit better. First off, I want to create a deeper drainage layer. I would like to be able to over mist this cage and the humidity stay in there. Therefore, I would also like to replace this screen with something a little bit more humidity bearing, something that can hold in that moisture just a bit more. I would like to get it a little bit more densely planted. I do have a couple of plants on the back burner that I have not added into any cages yet, just because I want them to grow. So we'll probably add some more plants to this cage. I also have a few extra tanks sitting out in my garage that aren't being used, and I have no plans for future animals as of right now. And so I would like to give him a bigger space, though maybe as of right now with his size, it doesn't warrant it. I have the ability to do so, so I think I just might. With that being said, tune into next week when I go ahead and revamp this gecko's cage to a 20-gallon long vertical conversion cage that'll suit everything that this gecko needs and fix quite a few of the problems that I have stumbled across with this current setup. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked today's video, you know what to do. Hit that like button, message me, hit something in the comments. You know I need those kind of things. Cameron out of here. Later.